two short sentences I would like, and they're both the same. I'd like you to hear this again. I did not know him. And then further on it says, I did not know him, but the one who sent me to baptize with water told me. Every year we go over these stories. There's a 3-year package that we use, and this starts the A package. What's important is that when these foundation readings are heard and read, it's up to us then to grow deeper within that reading so that we understand what God is sharing with us. Now I read that. It says, I did not know him. Now this we know, John the Baptist and Jesus are cousins. But remember, is that Mary, when she heard that her cousin Elizabeth was about to have a baby, she went over to the hill country of Judea, 80, 90 miles away. So she stayed with Elizabeth until John the Baptist was born. Then Mary went back, and after that, Jesus was born. But they did not grow up together. They weren't like friends. They didn't go fishing together. They didn't walk on water together. They didn't do any of those things. Each grew up in their own way. Why am I pointing this out to you? The reason is this. Each of us, when we are born and commit ourselves to become a full Christian Catholic, we do that through our prayer, through our attendance at church, and the way we work out our life, whatever that happens to be, from pumping gas all the way up until those people who know how to do surgery. So that's how we work out our Christian Catholic life. What's important here is to understand, and this is the key, John the Baptist did not have a script where he looked at that and said, oh, later on I'm going to meet Jesus. He lived a very holy life. He attended worship in the synagogues, and he was a religious person. But he didn't know fully about Jesus' story. Later on, through the help of God, he realizes that he's about to announce something important, and he finds out also that it happens to be his cousin. And then the privilege of John the Baptist baptizing Jesus. Now, if there's anybody who didn't need baptism, it was Jesus, but he followed our own in our own footsteps and received this baptism from John. And then John further tells us that the gift of the Holy Spirit is going to be given when Jesus comes. They did not clearly understand what that meant, because we know that the Holy Spirit is a chief operating officer in our Catholic faith. He helps us to do what we're supposed to do, gives us that energy. That's what the Holy Spirit does. So important that you see and understand that John the Baptist was not unlike us. When you get that sense, then you can go deeper into this story, because you have not set this person, John the Baptist, on a pedestal out here, someone to be remembered and inspired. No, you want him to become closer so that you too may live a life that is similar to his. That's what the reading is after. That's why we repeat this and this particular day. Also remembering that none of these holy people, including Mary, had a script where they knew what was going to happen and everything was just la-di-da. It was neither la-di-da nor kumbaya. It was none of that. It was a human life in which the struggles and so forth of living in this world they experienced. Mary and Joseph trying to have enough food and enough money for their own life. Joseph working as a carpenter. And if you've ever noticed, Israel, or the Holy Land, is not loaded with trees. So the wood had to be reused, and other places brought in wood that he could use. It's not a large forest there, and people had been living there for so long. So each step of the way had its own problems. But what they did, and this is the other key sentence, they walked by faith, not by sight. They walked by faith, and not because they knew what was going to happen, but because they trusted in the direction that God had sent them. That's the issue. We too, dear family, are persons who are sent. Just like those two persons, a part of what God's message is resides inside of us. How do we discover that message over the years? We do that through each of the sacraments that we receive, together with our prayer life, our gathering together here, and then our work, wherever it's made, whatever that work is. And remember what I told you about when we're working at doing one loving act at a time. When we make this our intention to do one loving act at a time, everything that we do becomes salvific and becomes touched by the presence of God, no matter how simple that is. And I'll mention something a little bit silly. Did you brush your teeth today? Okay, I did too. Those who didn't, stand up, please. You got to go to the back of the room. No halitosis here. All right, even a thing like that in God becomes salvific. It's not just some inane, thing that we do, but it becomes a way in which we can love and experience the presence of God. You've got to be able to understand that. Because in doing one loving act at a time, everything with that intention becomes an experience of the presence of God. Lastly, did I talk to you about when you sit on the edge of your bed in the morning? Did I tell you about that issue? Would you like me to tell you? Of course, I'll tell you whether you want me to or not, because that's why I'm here. All right. When you get up in the morning, you simply sit on the edge of your bed. And I say that now. I used to stand up real quickly when I was younger, but I find sitting is a little better. So I invite all of you to do that. And you simply say, Holy Trinity, I give you thanks. That's simple. Then you say, I commit myself to doing one loving act after another. The Our Father teaches us that we are to develop an attitude of gratitude. And that's what I'm after. Whenever we get stuck and we seem to get bogged down, you return to this simple formula and we get back in the space that we're supposed to. Holy Trinity, I give you thanks and praise. Help me to develop this attitude of gratitude. And how do I do that? By doing one loving act after another. That's not difficult, is it? Because in the world in which we live, and as you got up this morning, our TV, everything is filled full of all kinds of opportunities. I want to take a side note here. One of those opportunities is the ability to be able to gamble on your phone. I hate it. I do not think that that's a good thing. Now, the casino people will be after me today, but I insist that this is not a good thing to do because it puts something in between the gambling and us, and it looks like it's pretty benign. It is not. It is not. So we need to simply stop and say, what are my choices? And is this going to help me live a better life? Now, I'm not against, as such, what we call recreational gambling. But we know that there are problems with this, just like there is with recreational drinking. Would you believe that actually some Catholics got drunk? Would you believe that? Well, so surprised am I in my narrow way to live. I say that way so that you understand what I'm talking about. Every day we deal with this stuff. And what this helps us to do is to keep becoming negative Nellies or Nellier. The Lord does not want us to be negative people. He simply wants us to be persons who choose to do one loving act after another. If we start out every day like this, the force and the power of this way of life guides us through all of those landmines that might occur. It's clear, it is simple, and you can do it. You have the ability to do it. I'm going to repeat it. Dear Lord, this is part of my helping to build an attitude of gratitude. Holy Trinity, I give you thanks and praise. Help me to be the person who does one loving act after another. The third point is this: I will learn how to be kind and gentle to myself. If I'm kind and gentle to myself, I will be kind and gentle to others. One loving act after another.